You know, what's that one sound you should absolutely never ignore? A creak in the floorboards in the dead of night? A whisper on the wind? This is a story about a sound we all know, and it explores the terrifying idea that sometimes we are not, in fact, alone.
We've all heard it, right? That familiar, kind of mundane sound of footsteps from the apartment or the room upstairs. But what happens when you live on the top floor? When there is no upstairs, and that impossible sound just keeps going night after night, what are you supposed to do?
There is really only one rule in a situation like that. Whatever you do, don't listen. Don't engage with it. And never, ever try to find out where it's coming from. Someone did, and this is his story.
Meet Ahsan Malik. He just moved into a new house, right at the edge of town. The rent was cheap. Almost too cheap, you know? That was the first red flag, and he chose to just look right past it.
That was literally the only piece of advice the landlord, a Mr. Kareem, gave him. Ahsan just figured, okay, rats, old pipes, whatever. He was so wrong.
He just lay there, frozen in his bed, listening. But here's the thing, the completely, absolutely impossible thing. His house didn't have a second floor, no attic. It was just a solid, flat, concrete ceiling right above his head.
And this is the detail you have to remember. It happened at this exact time, every single time. A detail that would very quickly become a signal for pure dread.
So after that second night, Ahsan tried to explain it away. You know, logic. But on the third night, logic went right out the window. Because the footsteps weren't alone anymore. It was this soft, breathy sound, and it knew his name. Ahsan. It was so close, so intimate, it felt like someone was speaking directly into his ear from the other side of that concrete.
He actually climbed up on a chair, pressing his ear against the cold ceiling, just desperate for any kind of rational explanation. And then he felt it, a faint but very distinct pressure against his ear from the other side. Oh yeah, he wasn't imagining it. Completely shaken, the next morning Ahsan went looking for his only neighbor, an elderly woman named Shazia. He had to know if he was going crazy. Her answer gave him zero comfort. She said it so calmly, with this chilling kind of acceptance. This wasn't something new. This was just a fact of the house. She told him about the guy who lived there before him, how one day he was just gone. No moving truck, no goodbye. And she said, right after he vanished, that's when the nightly walking started.
So that night, armed with this horrifying new information, Ahsan made a choice. Nope, he wasn't going to hide under the covers. He was going to confront whatever was up there.
And just like clockwork, 3:03 a.m. hits, and the sound begins. But this time was different. It wasn't just walking. It was a furious, violent stomping that shook dust from the ceiling. It was angry. It knew he was listening. And then, the barrier between their worlds just broke. A tiny crack appeared in the plaster, and from that crack, a single, long, gray fingernail pushed through, scratching, digging, trying to make the hole bigger. That whisper was no longer a whisper. It was a clear, possessive voice, just seething with anger. It was a claim, and it was a threat.
Ahsan ran. He fled the house and just hammered on his landlord's door, screaming about the thing in his ceiling. Mr. Kareem opened the door. Slowly. And there was no surprise on his face. He looked like a man who had been expecting this exact conversation. The landlord just looked at him and said, "It doesn't like being replaced." Replaced? The word just didn't make any sense to Ahsan.
But Mr. Kareem just repeated it, letting that awful meaning really sink in. See, he wasn't talking about some ghost or a memory. He was talking about a creature with needs. The thing that lived in the unseen spaces of that house. It needed someone every few years. The previous tenant hadn't just left. He'd been taken, absorbed, replaced. And now, Mr. Kareem explained, it was Ahsan's turn.
Pure panic sets in. Ahsan sprints back to his house to grab his things and just get out of there. But the front door, it was sealed shut. It wouldn't move an inch. And above him, the footsteps turned into this frantic, violent running. Plaster and concrete just rained down on him. Hands, so many hands, reached for him. And in the darkness above, looking down through the wreckage,
was a perfect copy of himself, watching him with this wide, triumphant smile. And now? Well, I'm not really in the house anymore. It's strange. The memories are all fading, kind of like a dream you can't hold on to. But sometimes I feel this urge, an urge to just walk, back and forth, pacing, right above someone new.
And I always know exactly what time it is.
So, if you happen to hear that sound tonight, that slow, dragging footstep where no footstep should possibly be, whatever you do, do not look up.
Because I might be looking down, and believe me, you really don't want to see me smile.